see if that one, that's the one.
That's
the one. I think this is the one right here. Let's see if everyone should be able to hear us now. All right. All right. So we'll talk this one back real quick. I'm sorry about that. Turns out I've never done this before. This is my first time.
Hey, look, you do a lot of video, you do a lot of content, a lot of podcasts. I'm seeing it works there.
It's working now.
We're in good shape.
I'm sorry, guys. This was John.
You're recording it live.
Yeah.
So that makes a big difference. So.
It does. So I'm sorry about that, everyone that's watched us. What we were saying was welcome to the live stream, but we're actually going to be recording the podcast here. This is going on the John Dye podcast. If you guys haven't subscribed to it yet, it's actually new. There's only a couple episodes on there. And this is going to be one of the episodes with John Senac. And this is going to be fun. We're going to take your guys' questions. We're going to talk about it. Stuff does happen. So thank you guys for hanging in there with us as we work through that little glitch there. My team's going to love me for that one.
User error.
Yeah, I don't know. Buttons are weird. So, but anyways, welcome to the podcast. And we've got John Senac with us. And we're actually live on Facebook and YouTube and all over the place, LinkedIn,
everything else.
And so we're going to, so we're going to take questions from the audience, but we're going to have a general discussion about roofing today. And we got one of the best minds in the industry right now with John Senac being here. I'm just going to say that. I mean,
I appreciate the compliment.
No, I mean,
really do.
Your impact in the last 2-3 years now that you've been doing this,
about 2 years,
2 years now, has been just amazing. Like, I hear more people are excited about hearing John Senac speak than I've heard about a lot of people speak in the industry. And, you know, people, I go and train contractors all over the place. And it's funny when I come in after you've already been there and they've got your notebooks and everything there. And they're just like, well, Senac said this. And I'm like, well, if Senac said it, then it's right.
It's probably right.
It's probably right. Don't argue with me. No, but it's really cool to see it because you've built such a great following in the industry so quickly.
I appreciate that greatly. And I'm humbled by it, but I'll say this. There was a moment in my career where I realized I was more pulled towards training and coaching, and part of that was the creation of NTS and what that did in identifying shingles and understanding shingles. And the following is a lot of fun, but I think that on a basic level, there's a lot of trainers, coaches, mentors for a lot of different things out there. I'm humbled to be one of them. And I think when you look at a trainer, a coach, or a mentor, you can look at a few different things. What's driving that coach or that mentor? You know, revenue, reputation, results. You know, what are the things that are driving that coach or that mentor? And I think that it's innate that we're all trying to make a living, right? Like we're all trying to earn money. That's fantastic. But the thing that feeds me the most is the results. And I constantly hear that feedback from people saying, we tried this and it worked. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to keep doing it, right? Until that changes. And I guarantee you the systems that we're vetting now are going to be systems that we train on to try and be ahead of the curve and not reactive to things, to be proactive on things. So, you know, the results are the key part for me. The byproduct is, there's some recognition to that. And there's a revenue stream to that, but I've always been motivated and driven by the results. And I think that's what's kept it fun for me.
No. And that's part of it though, is I think you're so genuine about why you're doing this, and you genuinely want to help the industry.
Yeah. And
that to me is super important as we, you know, go through this time and learn. The industry is changing so quickly. Mm-hmm. There's so many things coming down the pipe right now that most people aren't even aware of or remotely. We were just talking about it in my conference room here with some of my other partners. And, you know, just the mere fact that there was a big thing that came out today that's going to change the industry and no one's even paying attention to it. And it's step one into a complete metamorphosis of what is roofing like we know it and what roofing is going to look like in 3 or 4 or 5 years. And it's so different.
Yeah. I think that, do we want to say what it was? Can we talk about it? Or is that going to create a ripple effect? It's not going to create
it is what it is. It's a fact. And whether or not we say it or don't say it, it's going to come out.
Well, unless you and I be the ones to say it, right? We're live. Let's talk about it. So
okay.
This morning, one of the manufacturers announced the ability to go to their website and get a bid directly from the manufacturer's website. And I think that this is kind of a double-edged sword when you look at it. But imagine that now. You are a contractor in a local area, a local network, a local market, and you're marketing, you're branding, you're doing everything you can. And now one manufacturer in that market has the ability to provide an instant quote or an instant price. And the truth is, there's a lot of people that shop that way. Like there's more younger buyers entering that market. And I think that the products are there, they're available to contractors, but now a manufacturer has introduced that. And I'm kind of curious to see what the ripple effects of that are going to be.
Well, there's so many questions that we still don't understand how that's going to work, but let's talk about that for right now. Up until now, so you guys get a real grasp of what this really means. Up until now, our industry has really relied on contractors going to homeowners and consumers almost on a one-on-one basis to talk about their problems and to give them solutions, right? We haven't had to compete with our own manufacturers or our distributors. Manufacturers and distributors have seen us as partners up until now.
Yes.
And so now having a manufacturer come in and say, hey, we're going to be the top of funnel rather than being down at the bottom of the funnel almost. I mean, at what point do you actually talk about the manufacturer in the sales process?
They buy the person before they buy the brand, before they buy the manufacturer. And I feel like that's kind of the not always, but that's generally my experience is we build trust with the customer, usually on a one-on-one basis. Then they start to trust the brand or the company, and they look at the Google reviews. And then by the time the decisions are happening, maybe they're interested about the products, and you're pitching the products and why your product is best.
Right.
But this is now you're 2-3 steps in, trying to take that cut right there and say manufacturer has the ability to give an instant quote or an instant price before the contractor's even there.
That's the crazy thing. So they're using technology that is available to contractors.
100%.
Well, they're using technology similar to what's available to let's rephrase that. It's not the same technology. It's similar, somewhat watered down versions of the same technology that we have. But they're using technology that allows a homeowner to get an instant bid on a roof.
Yep.
And then turn that bid into a potential job, right?
Yep. How long before every manufacturer does it?
That's the real question.
Because if one's doing it now, how long before every single one of them go in and they're all doing it? And now the end user has the ability to get right on here, get on there, type in their address, and then what's going to populate on SEO? What's going to populate on Google? What's going to populate if they want to quote now? Who do you think has the bigger budget and ability to come up as the first searched?
Well, to me, it's like Amazon or Walmart stepping into the marketplace. You know, if you look at historically, and let's even talk about Walmart before we talk about Amazon. Amazon has changed everything again, but you know, I'm a huge fan of Walmart. Actually, a lot of people don't know this about me, but not like the stores and the whole Walmart. No, I've been to Bentonville, Arkansas. Okay, I'm a huge Sam Walton fan. I don't know where my keys are, but there's a keychain on it that says "Go for it." Yep. That's actually Sam Walton's keychain that I got, that he had on his truck keychain when he was alive. And so, like, I'm really a huge fan of his. But you look at what he did. All he did was make things easier and easier for people to have more access to more stuff. Yeah. And you know, drove a ton of people out of business. Though people hate Walmart, but they don't respect the fact that that was what Walmart did. And now they're a manufacturer themselves. They have their own products. They have their own stuff that they sell under their own labels. It's their home.
And they white label a lot of other products just to make it quicker and faster.
100%. And then you look at what's going on with, you know, manufacturers now come in and saying, wait, we create the product. We can create the demand for the product. We've already paid them a lot of money. You're right. Their pockets. How do you compete with this type of solution?
It's going to be a tough thing to compete with. I can say soundly that one of the fastest things people need to adapt to is how quick can they also get a consumer that price or that quote? Are they using those online widgets, those tools, that technology to be able to go on there and say, hey, I can quickly quote this? And that's insurance claims, retail jobs, anything. You know, I think that that's going to be important, very, very valuable in the long run to be ahead of the curve or be using, you mentioned it. It's kind of a watered down tool that they're using of what contractors have available. Go get some of the most sophisticated tools out there and use those, because when an end user goes online shops, let's say they go to that manufacturer's, they get their instant quote, and then they go to your website and they get the instant quote. And one is dynamically different in appearance and speed and functionality and use and everything, accuracy. Who are they going to buy from?
Well, and that's the advantage that we have right this moment. How long we have that advantage is the key. Like, this is like the first to market advantage theory that goes around that, you know, whoever has it first and capitalizes on it the fastest,
right,
gets the most advantage when it comes to it, because eventually the market's going to catch up.
Yep.
Right. So like right now, while this manufacturer may not have a great tool yet, they have
a tool,
but there's a better tool out there that we have, okay, that we can use. But the thing is, how long will it be before the gap closes and all of a sudden the tools are pretty identical. Equal? Yeah, identical. Yeah. It's going to happen at some point.
The advantage they have is their first to market. The disadvantage is going to be how watered down the product is.
Yep.
But there's an advantage to having a watered down product. You literally get to beta test and work the kinks and figure it out, you get a lot of flaws and you get all the experience of getting the kickback and the questions and everything else. So you get to live build that thing essentially when it's watered down. So you don't spend all the money before you develop it. You spend 75% of it. Then the next 25% is live, all the kickback, all the pushback. And then you spend the money very real time solving those things. So the gap will close quickly on those things, but it is, let me, I don't want to insult roofers or contractors. I feel a little bit like the roofing days of old. Like I've been in this, I'm going on my 11th year now, that if it was new and unknown in the roofing industry, there'd be 1 or 2 early adapters out of 10. And then when it finally got to like 5 out of 10, then everybody would jump on board. Like right around the 50, but like half or more are doing it, then they would all jump on board.
Right.
I don't think that's going to work here. Like
no.
If you got to get on quick with this, it could be a big problem.
Well, and that's how the whole industry has evolved. I mean, they all took that same model, the storm model, and duplicated. And that's what everyone does, the exact same thing. And it's worked because it's all one-on-one sales. Once you inject technology into the equation, it changes everything because technology is going to speed everything up. And you have a window of opportunity right now if you're residential. I want to talk about this in a minute because I got a question here on commercial.
Bring on the questions. Bring on the questions.
Yeah,
anything about roofing, about claims, about shingles. Like y'all, I'm live. Let's talk about some questions.
Knows a thing or two about shingles.
1 or 2 things.
A couple things.
I have more data points about shingles in my head than I care to know. Anyway,
I'll finish this point and then we'll hit this. But once you inject the technology aspect into this, the time frames are just so much shorter. Like you got first to market advantages that are so quick between that technology, the roof assess product from Eagle View, some of these other things that are coming out. Like there's these technologies right now that people are like sleeping on, that if you're sleeping on like Roofle or, some of the things that are out there, you are potentially going to die. Like your company could potentially get completely demolished. And by the time you do adopt these tools and start to use them, it's too late.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be too late.
And when you look at the cost of a technology like Roofle and what it takes to start that, onboard that, and annual, it only takes a couple jobs.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, 2 jobs, maybe 3.
Yeah.
And you've got it back.
And you're done.
I would think you'd get that organically, much less like actually using it, pushing it, promoting it. It's accessible. It's part of your search product. Like 2 to 3, that's it.
That's it. And we've got it now at on Modern Roof's website. And we've had great success with it. It looks great. It functions like it should. We've compared it to other products and we've been really happy with what it does. But at the same time, like you're saying, like now and they've made it better now to where now the financing is built in, all the pieces are built in. You could basically work yourself through the entire sales process. And by the time the salesperson gets in front of that homeowner or they use it in real time, now the salespeople, we trained our sales guy this morning.
Yep. This
is how you use this in real time. And he pulled it up. Oh, this is awesome. Done. Now I don't have to wait to go order measurements, all this other stuff that he normally has to do. Now he's just selling a job.
Right there.
Instant. And then, but the reality is though too, our goal is not to have a salesperson do that. Our goal is to have the computer do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I get it. There's all the relationship building, all that stuff's important, but let's talk about the future though. Millennials, the next generation, they don't want that. They don't care about the relationship.
No, I feel like the customer experience over the past 3 years, especially after 2020, has changed a lot. And I've seen more buyers into the market. That's organic. That's going to happen in time. But just the way customers are handling transactions, I think has changed a lot.
100%.
They want to be more prepared, more informed, more educated, do a little bit more of the research themselves on the front end. And that's it. I mean, there's a lot of things that I shop that way. Like I don't really need advice on maybe special lights that we have in our house, right? Rather than waiting for an electrician's advice, I went and I did my research, everything, and I got everything I needed, and I called the electricians and I gave them an option. Can you get this part for me and build it, or do you want me to buy it and you come and put it in?
Right.
And they said, purchase it, we'll install it. Right. But I had the buying decision made, and I'm 40. I'm an old dude, right?
Well, but
actually, I'm on the entry of millennials.
But the reality is, it makes it easier, and that's the
does.
whole point. Like things are going to become more accessible the longer this stuff's around. So let me grab some of these questions real quick. On the residential side, and this is from LinkedIn. Cliff said this: on the residential side, this will crush the contractors that are not plugged in with the partition manufacturer. This could become a problem. And then he asked this question earlier too, though. I don't think they can do this in the commercial world, though. Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel that there are way too many variables on a commercial facility to do this.
I think 10 years ago, we probably said there's no way they can do it in residential, and we're here.
So,
I think it's going to take a longer time.
Let me give you some insight in commercial, because I just pulled the report. I have a property that came across my desk, and a customer has a property in South Carolina, 350,000 square foot building. It's a big building, right? Yeah, it's just, tar and gravel all built up. Okay. They were debating between putting a slip cover over, what do they call it? Where they, they just kind of throw something over top of it and like basically add another layer to it. Well, you know how we're going to get them to buy a new roof? It's not because of the anything other than I literally from my office here ordered a report from a company called ZeepView.
Yep.
That sends a drone out to a pilot, and they fly that entire building, and they provide us with a moisture report of that roof.
Yep.
Now we've got a moisture report that we can now present to the property owner and say, okay, here's why that particular solution isn't going to work. And I've never set foot on the property.
Right.
So yes, are these tools coming to commercial? Yes, they are coming. Is it going to be possible for us to sell someone a roof without actually stepping foot on it and give them an instant quote? Sure. You can give anybody an instant quote on anything.
Right.
But at the end of the day, though, that moisture report, how long would it have taken someone to go out and do a moisture report on a 350,000 square
core
foot
cuts
building?
and everything else like that would have taken way too much effort.
This took me like a week.
Right.
And I didn't have to go out there once.
And the cost was far cheaper probably than going out and having somebody core cut it and everything else.
I sold it to I told the property owner, we'll do it for $5,000. Just, if we get the job, great, we'll credit it back. But if we don't, it's going to cost you $5,000 for us to do this. And you'll have a comprehensive report on that building, which they own tons of buildings all over the country. And they're like, can you do this anywhere? I said, yeah.
So Cliff's question is a good question, though. I don't think it's a matter of can they do it with commercial. It is going to be the variables. Will there be eventually be a possibility of getting a commercial quote? Sure, but the building owner probably doesn't know what they're choosing or selecting. So it'll probably function more as a lead gen piece than anything else.
Yeah, 100%.
On the commercial side.
And even on residential, there's still variables in residential that we've got. Like we still run into issues where you got bad decking. You still run into issues where you got multiple layers. There's all kinds of variables. But at the end of the day, like I still could come in with a pretty easy price on what it should cost. If all of the stars aligned and the roof is perfect, this is what it should cost. Same thing with commercial. Like, yeah, we can't core the roof. We can't dictate what's underneath it. We can't really tell what's happening, but we can at least come back and say, hey, look, if your roof is just a basic one layer roof, we're going to tear it off and put a new TPO with 4 inches of ISO and this, that, and the other, you could generate that report with our current technology offerings,
absolutely.
I believe.
The biggest difference is with residential. If I show up and you have an instant quote for $15,000 and I'm like, oh, here's a couple minor things, it's actually going to be $15,500.
Yeah.
You're probably still going to sign. You're probably still going to buy. You're probably not going to bat an eye, right? Mm-hmm. But if you got an instant quote and then you're like, well, no, what we really want, we're having this problem, this issue, we're going to change some units, curves and everything
100%.
else. You're like, oh, we're going to go from 500,000 to 750,000,
But I still got the lead.
Right. You got the lead.
Right.
That's the kicker.
That's the kicker.
See, what the manufacturer is doing in this situation is they're taking the lead. And I think that's the big point to this is that it's not so much did they get the job, they got the lead. They bypassed every one of your marketing efforts, every one of your social media efforts, every one of your door knockers, canvassers, everything else. And they got all the way to where the lead is there. And you've got this warm lead who priced it. And then they send it to the preferred contractor who goes and then tries to sell that job.
The lead's the leverage.
Yep.
Whoever has the lead.
You could one call close it as the contractor. You show up, If they have questions, they're like, can you do any better than this? Or maybe they're like, is this going to last this long? Or we're just trying to sell our house. You could potentially very easily, potentially one call close that.
Yeah.
Because they're circumventing the lead. They're all the way, they own the lead now.
Yep. And that's the biggest thing to understand about all this. Yes, the intricacies around it, you can't duplicate a human touching a roof and being a part of it, doing core samples, doing all the things they got to do. But at the end of the day, though, how did you get to that customer to begin with?
Yeah.
A lot of people say, well, they build the relationships, they do stuff. And commercial's different. I get that. Like commercial is a whole different world. And I'm a big fan of CRA and Paul Reed and what they do at Commercial Roofing Academy, because it's probably my favorite event to go to, other than, I don't know if you've been to it yet.
I have not.
You should go. In fact, I'll make a connection there, because this is something that you need to go check.
Paul texted me last week. He was like, what shingle is this?
No. Oh, dude, I bet you. You need to go to CRA though. I will take you to CRA with me, because it's amazing to see how that works. But at the end of the day, like I understand, like Cliff, what you're saying, that it's totally different. It's going to be hard to infiltrate that as not as easy as residential. Residentials are one-offs, but I will say this though, because they're one-offs, they're probably the most vulnerable.
Yeah, absolutely.
By all means, it's the easiest part of market share to grab.
Absolute respect, Cliff. Like, it's a good question. It's going to take time, but you'd have to believe that even the steep or the low slope manufacturers are trying to get products like that and services like that to quick quote.
Yeah. Facebook user said it's the team golf on PGA. What contractors will be on team GAF or team IKO or team whatever? Yeah, you're right though. It is going to become that way eventually. Until they start to buy each other up, and then it's just going to be team shingles.
100%. I mean, think about that. How many people install 2 products or are just whatever the entry certification is? How's that going to work for companies that have multiple levels of certifications? You know, if you took Owens Corning, platinum, and then preferred, all of them get shot for that instant quote. If that ends up on their page, you know, there's a lot to be. And if you're not that,
but there's already MRPs out there that are working deals directly with the insurance companies, and how they're vetting their contractors to actually be able to be on the program for them. And these are good MRPs, not like MRPs like we were used to in the past, right?
The old school days.
The old school days where they were taking all the money. These are actually good MRPs. Yeah. These are good ones. And how they're vetting who actually gets to join the MRP is if they got to be aligned with a certain manufacturer at their highest level. And now they know we got good contractors, and the insurance company's like, cool, let's go. And that's who's getting that work.
Yeah.
And that's going to be more and more prevalent even the longer we go. So yeah, but you're right.
Loyalty is going to be important.
Loyalty is going to be important, and it's going to be hard to figure out who you're going to align yourself with. And then there's going to be all these wild cards coming out of nowhere. I don't think people have been paying attention to Malarkey the last year since Wholesome bought them. No one understands who Wholesome is that bought Malarkey, which, by the way, Wholesome bought Malarkey, Duralast, Firestone, Geico. Who else did they buy? They bought a few. Okay,
there's 1 or 2 more in there.
Yeah, there's 1 or 2 more in there. Wholesome is the largest manufacturer of concrete in the world.
Yep.
They have like some ungodly amount of like 80 or 90,000 employees that work for them. Okay. They had nothing to do with the roofing space, and they bought up, and they paid over $2 billion for Malarkey.
Yeah.
Okay. Which blows my mind. But at the end of the day, I'm happy for Greg and James and all those guys.
Well, we built a great brand.
They're on an island somewhere having a great time, and they will be good for the rest of their generationals. Okay. But anyways, I say that to say though, Wholesome, in their building plants, they're doing a bunch of stuff, and they're quietly doing this, but they're about to become a national brand.
100%.
And no one's even paying attention to it.
The company I was worked with was selling Malarkey when that buyout happened. I'm very familiar with that buyout.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's insane how that all worked out.
Oh, this is going to get interesting.
This is going to get really interesting. And I'm great friends with them. A lot of their team members are good friends of ours. We've hung out with all of them. They're good people at Malarkey. But I will say this though, everything is moving so quickly. So someone else asked a question here. Actually, this would be a good segue for this question. Casey Cook, best class 3 and best class 4, and why?
Are they asking me?
I'm going to let you take that one.
Oh my gosh.
Or do you want me to take it? I don't have any alliances.
I think we should both take it.
Okay.
To begin with. So, I personally think that the best class 3 is the Vista by Malarkey.
Well, you know, Highlander's a class 3 too now.
It is now. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
When I before they made that change, I was able to go and experience all those products, feel all those products. I have shot hail at all those products. I have seen the backside of the mats of all those products. And I think that it's a very, very nice class 3. Okay. I will caution anybody that every shingle has pros and cons to it. And it's hard to get the perfect shingle because from a climate standpoint, we experience hot, cold. You may be in an area that's all sun, no winter, an area that's a lot of winter and not a lot of sun. So, but I really, really like that class 3 from Malarkey.
And I'll agree with you on that. And being that we are in Indiana, we're very blessed to be able to have access to that product.
Yes.
So let's just preface that, but there's a lot of people that are further east that don't have access to it.
Correct.
So if you're in Ohio, which by the way, Ohio, you guys are about to get Malarkey. It's there. Trust me. But if you're in like Pittsburgh or you're Pennsylvania or Jersey or, Boston, these places that we're going to be on tour here shortly at, or Florida. Florida's a good example too.
Great example.
What are you going to buy in Florida?
I think you just go class 4.
Just go straight class 4, bypass it all.
I would bypass the class 4, but there's class 3 products available. But I like
IKO's got one, right?
IKO does have the Dynasty, and that's going to be pretty dominant at some point because of their goal to have manufacturing in Jacksonville and everything. So I imagine that'll be more available in that market. But I think the Flex is a nice product, and just go all the way to class 4 for a couple of reasons. I think Flex. Well, I think this is I'm a technical person on shingles. Okay, I kind of get down in the weeds. If you're going to spend to upgrade on a product, all right, are you upgrading purely for topical purposes, right? So, right, you're not spending all that money to upgrade on colors. Okay.
Yeah.
Every now and then you have 1 out of 10, maybe that upgrades on colors. So what are you upgrading for? You're upgrading for that class 3 or class 4. So then what is the next benefit built in those class 3 and class 4 products? Well, guess what? I want something that's going to nail easy, nail well, and not come off the roof. Right. And I think that that's accomplished in either one of those products. So Malarkey has like the largest nail zone, that tapered nail zone.
They do.
And then
that
the Flex
nail zone's nice.
The Flex has the sure nail strip across it. So it's kind of like I just spent all that money to upgrade, and I've got really nice nail zones in those to make installation easier, more secure, and I'm less worried about the installation itself in that situation.
No, and I like the Flex. I think Owens Corning has a cool product. They put a lot of money into it. They've done a great job with it. We're on tour with Atlas too, though. And I just want to ask you about this product because I didn't know about this product until I actually saw it. But have you played with Pinnacle Sun? And
I have barely.
Dude, that fascinated me. So they have a display. If you haven't been to one of the Atlas tour stops yet, they have this display, and Paul will get up there. He's their R&D guy, and he'll talk about this product, and they'll put lights on it. And they have their regular Pinnacle, and then they got the Pinnacle Sun shingles. The Pinnacle Sun shingles have a 3M granule in it that actually cools the roof. And so the temperature in the attic space of these two mock-up roofs is drastically different because of the material, and it's only like $5 or $10 a square more to go Pinnacle Sun. And I was like, for an efficiency standpoint, and when people, because I've been on this thing about attics and ventilation, because that's a comfort issue.
Yeah.
Like, right, if you have a house that has poor ventilation in your roof, you are feeling that every single day in your roof. This is like completely off the wire here, but if someone were to start a ventilation company that all they did was go and correct ventilation issues on houses, they would make people very, very comfortable, and that company would be very, very wealthy. Just said it live. I shouldn't have said that.
Probably shouldn't have said that. And if they went, let's just say they went a step further and they said they did a ventilation evaluation and they found out.
I've already worked this all the way through. I'll have to share. I don't want to share too much because now we're getting deep into this.
And then they found out that the person put on a roof within 5 years. And let's say that area of the roof was put on, the municipality has a 5-year statute of limitations to enforce building code. Could you imagine if you got a ventilation report that said your roofer did it wrong and the city was like, okay, we're going to force you to fix it or fine the contractor? And that ventilation company was like, hey, we'll fix it. We'll fix it right. Yeah, you're right. Someone probably could do that. So
someone could very easily do that, and they would make a lot of money. I'm just saying. But
anyway, does that come on the class 3 mat that they do?
I'm not sure which one it comes on.
I'll
ask Paul that question.
You have to. And by the way, I like how hands-on Paul is with his products.
Dude, he's
right?
smart. Smart.
I mean, I email Paul with stuff that we need for NTS. So
Yeah.
I appreciate how hands-on Paul is with his products, that he responds to people. I appreciate that greatly. But again, let's go to the benefits. If you're going to spend the money on a class 3, class 4 product, what else are you getting? What's the boast? What's the claim? What's the bragging? What are you getting with that? So let's say you had a class 3 mat that you also got that cooling effect to it. Mm-hmm. That may be a good one in southern climates,
100%.
Whereas in northern climates, maybe the Malarkeys, like it's just, there's just things like that I think
there's trade-offs.
There's pros and cons, and you have to weigh those things out. So like I instantly go to installation, which I think that the Malarkey and the Flex have a lot of installation perks.
I agree with that. That's the whole part of this whole thing is understanding your material and what's going to work best for every application. I mean, no two roofs are the same.
No, there's no universal.
Tesla's learning this,
exactly,
right? No two roofs are the same. You can't manufacture it. But anyways, all right. So let's come back here. We have some more questions here. Don't become another Kodak. You're right, Cliff. Thanks for that one. Claims as an insurance for water damage in kitchen floor from fridge leaking. Yes. I don't know where we were at with that question came in. So core depth, deck material type, more commercial roofing. How do you all feel about shingle weights? Cliff asked this question on on LinkedIn. I'll ask John Senac that question because you're way more into shingle weights than I am.
So let me share some insights, and then let me put this all into perspective on shingle weights, okay? Because I think that we can feel all we want about them, that there's the time has not existed to really tell the story. They used to publish the weight of the products on the packages.
Really?
They used to put the weights on the packages.
Yeah, that was a big thing.
And there were companies that boasted that ours was the thickest, the heaviest, stuff like that. Like that was a thing. And then as that continued into the good, better, best
once
phase,
elk was gone,
as that continued into the good, better, best days of 30, 40, 50, and elk had that product that was granulated on the back too, their 50-year product and everything. Then we started seeing technology change to try and make the dynamic fiber weave, to where it was just cross patterns. It was more dynamic and cross-hatched and like diagonals and everything else, right? That was designed to essentially be able to press the mat a little bit thinner, okay? And that's from a concept standpoint, to be able to say it's lighter, it's not going to be as heavy on the roof, it should be easier for the crews to carry, things like that, more shingles in a bundle, whatever the boast may be, right? There has been a change. There's a gentleman here in Indy, I'm not going to say who, that runs a supply house.
Oh, yes, I know who.
Yeah, you know who.
It's pretty well
same
known.
first name as you and me, right?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. So we all know.
But anyway, he weighs the shingles per square every year and has years of data.
He does a survey, right? Or it's a, what does he call it?
Audit. He calls it an audit
audit
every year. And every year he weighs them. And he has shared some of that data, not for me to have or to use, but he has shared some of that data. Okay. And they're getting lighter. That's just the reality of it. They are getting lighter and lighter and lighter. We may not like it. Some people may like it. We may like it from an installation standpoint.
But let's talk about that for a second, though. Does the weight really matter?
How do we know?
That's the thing. Do we know? Like, does it really matter?
We changed the mats across the board starting in 2010-ish when the limited lifetime technology started becoming more and more popular. So those products are 13 years old. So what's the answer to the question? The expected life of a limited lifetime product is 30, 40 years. I can tell you this. I have Silatex shingles in my collection. I collect shingles, y'all. That's weird. Like I need a different hobby, I guess. But anyway, so I collect shingles. I have a Silatex Dimensional Shake 30. That is, it got bought by Certainteed in 2000. Okay. Their old dimensional product. I have one from 32 years ago. Off a roof, nail holes in it and everything, off a roof. Looks fantastic. So let's answer that question in 15 years from now when these thin mats have been on a roof for another 15 years and see if it's any worse. All the heat, the oxidation, the shrinking of the asphalt, is it still going to hold granules or are there going to be issues? It's hard to say right now. We'd like to say we love it because it's lighter on the roof and it's easier to install and carry and throw around, but we just don't know.
Dude, I got something you're going to love. So we did an interview with Sheriff Gosselin Roofing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The OG. Like, right, okay. Like so it's an American Contractor Stories podcast. So Leanne and I interviewed them. Randomly, we run into these people at one of the Atlas events. And it's the chairman of the board, or not the chairman, he's the president of the company or whatever. And so anyways, the whole story though, I don't know if you know their story.
Roughly.
Dude, crazy
I've
story.
got a decent amount of data, but
I'm sure you do.
Story.
But the story behind it was they started this company in 1906. The asphalt shingle was invented in 1903 in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Yep.
These guys are in like Battle Creek, I think, or Kalamazoo area. And so real close. They actually were building they were manufacturing shingles and then installing them on roofs. That's how this whole company came to be. And they're still in business. Same family still owns them.
Yep.
Crazy story. I got an invite to go up there and check out their facility. Same facility they've had since day one.
Yes, original facility.
Their original facility. I'm going to get you some like OG shingles. I'm going to see if I can snatch an OG shingle, like from the first ones that they made.
I'll frame it.
Wouldn't that be awesome to have? Like, that's like, to me, like they've to think that's how they built their company though. And they still, to this day, they have a white label shingle. They don't manufacture their own stuff anymore, but they still have their own shingle that they sell. And it's such a cool story, but I want to know though, what they did different versus what was different today. Because I'm sure it's very different today than it was back then. But can you imagine like slapping?
You mean their OG shingle to now to what they do today?
Yeah. Well, just their OG shingle to what a regular shingle looks like right now.
Yeah. I mean, what's
the oldest one you've seen?
I have a T-lock, so it has to be pretty old. I mean, that was discontinued a long time ago, like 90s. So I mean, we're talking that thing's, only 10 years older than me, maybe. So that's crazy. But I've seen older stuff on buildings. I just don't have physical samples of stuff older than about. So that one's in its early 30s, and then the Silatex ones that I have in their early 30s, fully intact. I told those guys they need to build a museum. Yeah, I said if you guys would put a museum together, roofers will travel from all over the country to go to see this museum, just because there's no other residential company that's that old. I could facilitate with that too and provide them a lot of outside products to hang in the museum too. You see what I'm saying? I like where this is going. You see where we're going with this? All right. All right. What are the questions y'all have? All right. So this was a fun one. Sandra, she needs a new roof. She's looking for. Her roof is 25 years old. Do I contact a manufacturer or go to my local roofing company, ask them to recommend a product? Well, it's a great question. Sandra, I'm going to assume that your roof is currently shingles. Probably. Right? 25 years old. 25 years old. Needs a replacement. I would make an assumption that it's shingles. So, probably. And it's hard to make a recommendation like that unless we know the details, like what part of the country you're in, that kind of stuff. Because if you live in Colorado, it's going to be different than if you live in Florida. Right. Or wherever in the Midwest. But at the same time, this is a great question. So yes, she said it is shingles. Okay. So I would start with a contractor. Okay. And again, I know not everybody likes to, on the contracting side of things, we're not a fan of having the 2 or 3 bid option. But if someone hasn't advertised to you or knocked on your door yet, you absolutely see. I kind of like though Central California she's in. Okay, this is easy now. Well, you just answered the question. Like if I lived in Central California, knowing what I know today about roofing, okay, and you can answer this question the same way too, and I'm pretty sure we'll be in the same boat. How do you go about finding that contractor? I'd be on the Malarkey website right now. Who are the top Malarkey contractors in my area? Yeah. And that's who I'd be calling. Yeah. And I would start there, knowing what I know today. I understand like everyone wants to go with a contractor, but you can get a good contractor and they could put a junk product on your roof and then you're at the mercy of that. Yep. So Sandra, I guess what John is saying here is if you go to the manufacturer's website, they have the ability to find local contractors by putting in your zip code. And then it tells you, hey, here's the local contractors. Those contractors are either entry-level certified or top-level certified with that particular installer. Mm-hmm. So they're familiar with that particular manufacturer's products. So the Malarkey products, which are all class rated, they have a special mat, they're smog absorbing. So in California, they have a lot of benefits that I think are helpful. You would go to the Malarkey website and simply type in your area and find those contractors, and you could start with those contractors. Now, that's going to be true to any manufacturer. So if there's a brand or product that you're familiar with already or have done some research on, go direct to the manufacturer. Otherwise, you're going to Google and you're searching for contractors and trying to find that based on reputation, and it may take 2 or 3 to give you some insights or opinions on things. So And anybody else who's listening to the show or watching who's in Central California, feel free to comment to Sandra and say, "Hey,
well, so I was
reach out to me."
I was looking someone up right
like,
now.
How is nobody like I'm in California? Yes. I can help you.
So, but that's a good answer. And like I'm a bigger fan of the material that's going on my roof than, I mean, the installer is really important too. But if they've got a good certification, I know that they've been vetted pretty well. Knowing what I know today, like I know it's not easy to become Emerald Pro or whatever it is that you got to be with Malarkey, the top one. It goes through quite a process to get there, and you got to have a certain number of installs. They're going to actually inspect the roofs, and if the manufacturers want to stand behind it, now you know that they're going to provide a better warranty. That's, it's more peace of mind. That's the direction I would take. And personally, I think John and I both are on the same page. If it was our house, I'd want Malarkey on my roof.
I have Vista on mine.
You got Vista on yours. I think I have something else on mine, and we did an assess report on my roof last week with Eagle View. I had them inspect my roof. I think they found like 10 hits on the whole roof, and I was like, well, that sucks.
Oh, that was your house in the video?
Yeah, it was my house.
Oh, I can go back and look at what shingle it is.
I'm pretty sure I know what it is. So
she have a follow-up comment there, and it looks like maybe there's another question.
Yeah. So she asked, is this the right time to do a ventilation evaluation? And does the contractor do that? Now that's a great question.
This is a kind of interesting question. Do you let your contractor present their information and see if it includes ventilation, or do you tee up the contractor if you're Sandra? Because I'll tell you what, a good contractor should be able to be like, hey, and your ventilation's okay, or no, it's missing this, or we have to increase that.
Here's the problem. There's not like a really good ventilation report out there. This is when I say that there's an opportunity in ventilation, there's an opportunity in ventilation, because you're in Central California, right? If you have a 2-story house and you have bad ventilation, your upstairs is going to be so much warmer than it is on the bottom floor of your house. And no matter what your insulation looks like or whatever else is going on, if your ventilation is wrong, you're trapping heat. And I call it the heat monster. I got the whole marketing plan for this whole thing. Okay.
We're going to have to stop fielding questions on this particular
I know. Please stop talking to me about this, because this is
you brought it up.
I know. This is all my fault. So anyways, it's trapped in your house. Like, you got to get that ventilation out. So at the end of the day, though, yes, this is the time to do a ventilation analysis and figure out what kind of ventilation you have. The problem is most roofing contractors are not very well versed when it comes to ventilation. And it might be a question you ask them, what kind of ventilation reports do you provide? If they give you a good answer that, hey, we provide this ventilation report that's going to, and you got to make sure that they talk about input and output, not just, or intake and outtake or whatever, not just because it's ventilation. It's the air has to move from your soffits up into your attic and then go escape somewhere. Like, you got to have the type of ridge vent, and there's possibly you have too much ridge vent.
Yeah, the intake and the exhaust need to be balanced.
It has to be balanced.
I'd want to hear that phrase from a contractor, is if they started talking about balancing the system, instead of using phrases like minimum. Like, I'd want to hear words like balance in their conversation about that, because again, intake and exhaust have to be balanced. Because if it's too much exhaust, it'll end up not working the way it's supposed to. Exactly. You can be slightly over on intake, but
your exhaust has to be perfect. And that's like, everyone just chops up the ridge and just puts ridge vent on. I think they're good. What I've actually seen that they do is a correct analysis, which there's a company that I'm a fan of. Man, I cannot remember the name of it right now.
Vent?
No, they do the smaller ridge vents for Malarkey. Oh, it'll come to me in a second. I literally was just looking over at my stuff to see if I had. I know I have their stuff laying around.
Either.
No, it's not Lamanco. It's another one.
No, I'm just cycling through my head.
We'll come back to that. But there's a company that I like because they tell you not just how much you have to have, but they stagger it. So they stagger the ridge. So you will only open up a piece here, 6 foot here, 6 foot here, 6 foot here in certain areas so that you have a balanced system and everything's right. Now, you may have your ridge vent go all the way across,
right?
But it's going to be covered up in areas, and so that it restricts how much air is actually coming out so that it is balanced.
That's a common approach.
What is the name of this company?
If you want a balanced ridge vent, but you want to maintain the integrity, you can wrap the entire ridge, then only cut it in the spaces you need it to be exposed, put ridge vent on the entire thing, and then that way, from an aesthetic standpoint, it still looks like it belongs there. So
Quarix.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
Quarix, Quarrix. They have a really cool takeoff, and they have a pretty good system. So yeah, that's where I would talk to them. But who actually does the ventilation though? Reports typically your contractors. That there's not a lot of people that are doing strictly ventilation.
No.
Okay, just for.
No, it's usually either done when they do siding and they do soffit vents, or when they do roof and they do the exhaust vents.
And then she asked you about solar shingles available. That's a whole nother question now.
That's a very California question.
It's a very California question. As far as solar products go that are solar shingles, I'm impressed with the new Certainty product, Solstice.
Yep.
I think is it called Solstice?
Yep.
I saw it at IRE, spent some time with it. What I like about Solstice over the other manufacturers that have a shingle that is a shingle like a solar shingle itself is Solstice allows you to use any type of asphalt shingle along with it. Doesn't have to be a specific asphalt shingle that goes with it. So you can install a malarkey roof with Solstice if you wanted to. So I like that. I thought it was a pretty good product. I've spent a lot of time with Tesla and their product. I like their product, but the price point is extremely different. It's much higher. You have to really I would install a Tesla solar roof just because it looks awesome, and it would totally be a want, not a need thing. And I can't justify the price of it as far as justifying it based on consumption of electricity, all that kind of stuff. But I would still get it because I think it's awesome if I could afford it. But yeah, so when it comes to solar shingles, there's a lot of options out there, but it just depends which one you want. But I like the Certainty one personally.
Simple cost equation. I can say this with solar shingles: if they're not a preferred installer for that solar shingle, they're not going to have access to it, and the lead times on those sometimes could be a little bit longer. So if your roof is 24 years old and due for replacement, if it's 24 years old and due for replacement, lead time may not be in your favor in that situation. So, but evaluate any solar shingle with the ROI, like how long are you really going to be in that house? What are you spending on it? What are you saving in energy? And then what do what's the output cost beyond the energy savings? And is it really worth that for the amount of time you're going to be in that house? If you're selling that house in 2 years.
Yeah, but then you still got the value of the house going up.
Yeah, you got the value going up to sell it. So, you see that. That's what I mean.
Well,
have some people help you with the ROI.
And the ROI calculator is really good. There's a company in Columbus, Ohio that I'm good friends with. They have a great ROI calculator. It's and I wish I could probably get them to share it with us just to at least show it to us. But they created it themselves in house. They created their own CRMs and everything. It's Newman Roofing. They have their own stuff, and they have a great ROI calculator when it comes to solar. But yeah, solar is so weird because you got to take inflation into account. What are the costs of energy going to be in the next 10 years? Is it going to go up? If it does go up, how much now is, because you're buying solar for the cost of the panels and everything today. I will say this: if you are going to get into solar, I don't recommend getting with a company that is like a solar sales company. Go directly to the company that installs the solar.
Yep.
Make sure they are their own installers because you'll save a lot of money.
Yep. Otherwise, it's being subbed.
It's being subbed, exactly. Okay, Casey Cook. Could you guys maybe hit on some info for contractors looking for O&P when dealing with insurance, if you're speaking on insurance? No experience with this at this time. Man, Casey, you're bringing out the big questions here. The fun ones.
Can anybody else ask a really hot topic question too today? Let's just keep adding to them. I mean it. Bring on the challenges.
No, this is
more your world than mine. So fire away.
Okay. And I've been really passionate and outspoken about this stuff the last few months because when it comes to supplementing and insurance stuff, I've had an awakening.
He took one of my classes. No, I'm kidding.
No, I just got to realize, I've been doing this for a really, really, really long time. And when it comes to supplementing, I started doing supplementing in 2008, 2007. And so as far as third party goes and working for contractors, I've done it the way contractors have wanted me to do it historically. Okay. And that's how I've always positioned it. O&P, we all know from the very beginning, has always been, which from the beginning, it was, 25 years ago or 23 years ago when we started this thing, we were looking for our three trades, right? Yep. You got to have your your gutters, roofing,
gutters,
and we were looking for, well, back in the day in Indy, especially, we started in 2000. So when my family moved here is when I got into roofing with my dad and stuff. It was, we would get the roof bought, we got to find the gutter hits, and then we got to find that hit in the AC unit. And there's our third trade, you know, now we got to get an AC comb. That's a third trade. Now we get O&P, right? That was the whole magic bullet.
Yep.
Well, it's changed. It's become so different. Everything about complexity. They changed the rules. Look, let's just talk about what O&P really means. O&P is overhead and profit due to a contractor that contracts work, right?
Right.
If you're a general contractor, you do that. Now, most roofing contractors, especially the ones that are working insurance claims heavily, are typically contractors, general contractors.
Right.
They just happen to hire subs and they buy the material and they hire the crews and then they go out and do the work. They're not the ones that are actually, they don't own the subs in-house. Now, there's some that do. I have a friend in Texas that they are all in-house. They have 75 employees. It's cool. But most of the companies that you deal with are not. So that being said, does that company deserve O&P in order for them to operate and run efficiently as a business? The correct answer is yes. And by definition, they should get it. The problem is who's asking for the O&P and who's setting that up is usually where the issue lies.
Bingo.
That's where the biggest thing is. Like, contractors hire supplement companies in order for them to do their dirty work for them, right? Or they do it themselves in-house. But the problem is, at the end of the day, the way insurance companies and insurance policies are written, they're not designed. There's no contract between an insurance company and a contractor, unless it's managed repair or something crazy like that, which go look at Florida. It's happening. It's coming down the pipe. It's going to be that way in the next 10 years, if not sooner, probably sooner. But right now, if you're a homeowner, which is funny, I had a conversation with someone over the weekend, and they said in Europe, all of it's managed repair.
Yeah.
In Europe, if the insurance company buys your roof, they're paying the contractor directly and they're doing the whole thing.
Yep.
Okay. In the United States, though, people historically have liked to take control of that process and make sure that things are done a certain way. This is going to change, though, because people's buying habits are changing and millennials don't give a crap about anything. Okay. I'm just being real here. Okay.
And we're both millennials, just to be very clear.
Yeah, and it's very different because they're not going to care about the stuff that we care about or that our parents cared about or, you know, whatever. So that being said, contracts. But right now, the contract is between the homeowner and the insurance company. The insurance company is letting the homeowner fix their roof, right? But the problem is most contractors want to act as the homeowner's advocate or their representative in the claims process. You can't do that, though. You have no rights in anything, okay? And as much as we try to do this and we try to assist homeowners in this process, we're really kind of missing the mark. And this is why I think John's classes are so important, though.
Yes.
Because a contractor needs to be an expert in something, and it's not insurance process.
No.
While you should know how the insurance process works and understand it, especially if you're going to do insurance work, you really got to be an expert about roofs and how roofs are built and what it actually takes to build a roof in order to then arm the homeowner with the right data and the right information, the right tools, that they can now have a really clear picture of what the roof actually, what it really is.
Correct.
And what it takes for them to be made whole. By the way, insurance companies don't want homeowners to know this, but they rather contractors know this information and contractors go to war for the homeowner.
100%.
It makes some money, right?
Well, it's just easier.
Well, it allows them to delay it.
The insurance carrier owes no answer, no response, no lead, like nothing to the contractor.
Nothing.
So when the contractor is in control of it, when the contractor sends everything in, when the contractor pushes up all the information, they could literally ignore it 100%, never respond to any of it.
And they would not be acting in bad faith.
Nope.
But when the homeowner does it, it's a little different. Okay. So follow me. I know we were talking about O&P. Well, let's talk about O&P then. I have a simple way to do this. I train contractors on how to do this, and I give them a templated letter. And I say, look, here's how this works. I don't do contingencies. Contingencies are kind of useless, okay? We all know this. Everyone that tries to fight a contingency, tell me if you've ever won, because unless a homeowner like somehow gives you money, like you're not going to go to court and win a contingency argument. So contingencies are worthless. So instead of a contingency, what I like to give homeowners is an email that I encourage them, and I tell them, I'm like, hey, if you want to do business with me, this is great. I would love to work with you. I'd love to be the contractor that helps you with this process and give you a new roof or do whatever, we got to do. We're going to be able to give you the right information, but here's what we got to do first. You got to tell the insurance company that You've selected me to be your contractor, and that you expect them to pay me O&P. Essentially, is what that letter says, and it's a lot more complicated than that. But it's a templated letter that the homeowner then sends to the insurance company. First party communication, okay, goes to the insurance company. The insurance company now takes that letter, and now they have written direction on what they're supposed to do. And in the letter, it says something very specific at the end. I don't know if have you seen my letter?
I don't know that I have.
You probably have. It's floating around everywhere. So, but it says something at the end that says something along the lines of, please let me know in writing if you disagree with anything in here, since I have like 3 days to cancel this or whatever, this contract, or to work with this contractor, right? And it tells them, give you 3 days to contact us back. If you don't contact us back in writing, that means what? They've accepted it, right?
Yep.
So the insurance company gets that letter in an email form, which is first party communication. As an adjuster, that was a big deal to me. I knew that if the homeowner communicates something to me, that means something different than if a contractor
Correct.
or someone else communicates it. If I choose not to respond to that letter, which by the way, they never do, because I'm just telling you, like, this is the way this works. Now, when you go back at the end of the job and bill for your O&P, and they say, what? Oh, you're not owed O&P on this.
We don't owe for that.
Yeah, this isn't complex enough. You know what my response is now? I don't know what you're talking about. You guys already agreed. And they're like, what do you mean you already agreed to the O&P? Well, I have a letter here that was sent in. I was CC'd on it. The homeowner emailed you guys and said that this, and this was going to happen. We informed the homeowner of what was going to happen. The homeowner informed you of what was going to happen. You guys agreed by not responding. And there's your O&P.
It makes a huge difference.
It makes a huge difference. Now, I'm not going to say you're going to get it every time, but
there's another layer to that too that we can't even get into on this one. It's actually something that you and I both train on, but there's something to be said for handing that thing off quick and first.
Oh,
because every single step in the process is easier because of that.
Oh yeah,
every step. But what historically what contractors have wanted to do is show up at the door, put on a red cape and some spandex and act like Superman. And, that's how I was trained when I got in this industry too. Like that's what we were gods among men, heroes, insurance claim experts, all that kind of stuff. Right. So that's what we did. That's not what it needs to be. And it's not what it should be. It's actually not the path of least resistance either. The reality is there's a simple way the homeowner can act, like be very matter of fact about how they act, set some parameters, and then they don't even realize those parameters are set half the time.
Oh yeah.
And then they go through it the normal way. And then you're like, no, here you go. And they're like, well, we don't need that, or we don't know for that, or we're not going to do that. Like this is probably my favorite phone call I ever got from an adjuster. Okay. Fully signed agreement, sent in everything, final invoice sent in to reflect. We didn't communicate anything. Just he sent in the signed contract, sent in the final invoice, certificate of completion, everything. Okay. But I'm going to circle back to O&P here. So we got a call and the insurance adjuster was like, well, I'm calling because we're $3,800 off. And I was like, oh my gosh, what job is it? And I paused for a second. I was like, okay. And I'm sorry. Now what is it again? And I let her give the whole spiel. And after that, I was like, yeah, I'm so sorry. We're signed, contracted, and we're actually done, completed, and we're paid in full. So I'm not $3,800 off. You had me scared. We're paid in full. So you can call Mr. I'm not going to say his name. You can call Mr. Smith. You can call Mr. Smith and tell him that you're not going to pay what he signed and incurred. And guess what? They released the whole check straight to it. But there's just so many, there's just a little piece in there and you know how much work I did? I met the adjuster and I met the second inspector to move it from repair to replace. That's it. That's the only two things I did to directly interact with the insurance company on that one. Yeah.
And that's the thing, like that's where it should be. And the other side of it too is, so when we sell typically like we've still managed to figure out how to make it through insurance proceeds. We still rely on supplementing, but we rely on supplementing in a different way. In that I don't call it supplementing, we call it auditing, and I really call it my billing department.
Yeah.
I treat it like medical billing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you go to the doctor.
Yeah.
Here's the shots you got, the treatment you got, and here's the invoice for that.
Exactly. That's how I treat it, right? So
one out of 100 people, I think, treat it like that.
They don't. Everyone wants to fight with the insurance companies before the job's built. and they're like, dude, we're going to have this whole supplement battle and we're going to get all this stuff approved. Dude, if they've already said they're going to pay for the roof, cool. We're paying for the roof. That's all I care about, right? What line items they used or didn't use, they have their reasoning for not including those line items in there.
5,000 feet up, 30,000 feet up.
and at the end of the day, it's a guess. It's an estimate.
Yeah.
Estimates are guesses, right? And this is construction. This is common practice that there are change orders and things are different.
Yep.
When we approach it at the end of the job, it's the same way. We give them the invoice and we give them an Xactimate breakdown of what additional costs were incurred and why, and a photo report of us actually installing those things onto the roof. And here's what the total is. And we send that to the homeowner. And the homeowner has to turn that into the insurance company. And now the insurance company has to say no to the homeowner, who they're going to be much less likely to say no to.
It's just no different. You know, when I worked for companies that were remodel companies, and let's say they were doing a bathroom, okay? And then they're doing something in the bathroom and the homeowner comes in and is like, oh, well, can you add this? Can you do that? Or they're tearing out the bathroom and they discover there was another line that needs to be changed, capped off, moved over, or it's against an exterior wall and they've got to insulate or something like that, right? They go to the homeowner like, hey, John, I want to show you what we found here. This is going to take us another 2 hours. We're going to have to add this.
Right.
Change order.
That's easy to do.
Right.
That's easy to do in that situation, though.
It is easy to do.
Yeah.
But it's no different than the other roof job. All you do is you go to the homeowner and say, hey, here's the change order of these things that need to be added. You can turn it in or you can write me a check.
The difference is, yeah, exactly. But the difference is, though, you know, I can't usually get that quick of an authorization once I tore a roof off.
No, that is that's
the biggest difference.
And the roof's open versus the bathroom.
Yeah,
you
the bathroom, you can chill and like, we'll work on it later.
They've got another bathroom.
Yeah.
Like, we need to pause. We need to find the right part. That's totally different.
This all goes back to how you lay the foundation with the homeowner too about this process. On the front end. Yeah, because they got to know, like, we can't just stop this whole project. Like, we've got to do it from start to finish. So if there are issues, we're just going to bill the insurance company for at the back end. No big deal. We're just letting you know this is how this should work.
But I think, you know, to me, O&P is it necessary? No, because you could use the exact same concept with the homeowner saying, hey,
with a lump sum,
here's my contract.
Yeah.
You guys are going to pay this and you have 3 days to say otherwise, or otherwise we can't cancel this contract.
Well, and we actually go in with a retail number. We don't hide the numbers. Well, you know why? Well, a lot of people don't, because they don't know how to sell retail.
Yeah. I know a lot of people don't. I'm saying, why wouldn't you?
Well, we do.
I'm challenging those who aren't doing that already.
And this is what blows people's mind is I see these posts all the time on the internet. Well, hey, you guys, we got two different prices. We got the insurance price, and we have our cash bid. Our cash bid's lower than the insurance. And I'm like, whoa, hold on a second. Why is your cash bid lower than the insurance bid? Well, it's because it's cash. You don't have to wait. I'm like, you're doing it all wrong.
Yeah. You're
doing it all wrong. Like, our cash bid is higher than the insurance bid almost every single time.
Yep.
If our cash bid and the insurance bid are close to the same number, the insurance company probably made a mistake on their estimate somewhere. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, my cash number is always higher than the insurance company's number. And that's what we give the homeowner. Like, this is what it costs to replace your roof. And we basically tell them we're going to install, which we're Malarkey, so it's Highlander, Vista, Legacy, right? Well, we go best, better, good. So we tell them, hey, and this is the beautiful part of it. We tell them we're going to install the good roof for whatever the insurance company agrees to pay, no matter what. So if that roof is $15,000, we're saying we're giving $15,000 worth of credit today. Now, that's awesome for you, because if the insurance company buys your roof, you're going to get a $15,000 roof no matter what.
Right.
You can upgrade. You only got to pay $3,000 and you can go to a Legacy, or you can go to a Vista, or what we call an Ultimate roof. And it's only $4,000 or $5,000 more. You can finance that. And that's what we focus on. Now we're talking about that, and we're not even talking about that, the insurance out of it. They're excited because they're getting a $15,000 roof for whatever the insurance company pays, even if they only give $10,000 for it, because they didn't include everything in their estimate. We'll get on the back end, whatever. We may only get to $14,500, but they got a $15,000 roof. Are they arguing with us over numbers now?
No.
Are they trying to hold back their money? Are they trying to mess with us? No. Nope. In fact, they're giving us more money because they want to take advantage of the opportunity to upgrade now to an Ultimate roof. So anyways, we're getting into a lot of stuff here.
That was a lot of weeds, but I think that from an O&P standpoint, know your numbers. Yep. I had one time that someone we did exactly what you did. We went in and we pitched them best, better, good.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, we want this cam too. I'm like, great.
Is that the best?
Okay. It was the designer that we pitched.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's what they went with, right? They went with that Camelot 2,
Okay.
did the whole thing, and they knew that there was going to be a difference between the insurance and this.
Yeah.
And we normal process.
Yep.
We sent them the final invoice, certificate of completion, everything. They sent it to the insurance with the signed contract. Insurance paid the entire invoice.
The CAM 2? Well, that's crazy. That's an anomaly. We'll say that's a one-off.
It is a one-off.
But it worked.
But all the homeowner did was send in what was incurred.
Yeah.
And the adjuster had to choose, do I comb through this? We didn't tell him, like, we didn't think it was going to happen. You know, we were like, well, you do what you want with this, but we gave you your invoice. You've paid it in full to us. Like, this is weird.
Good for that homeowner. So, all right. Any more questions, guys? We're chilling here today. So that was good though. Some good stuff in here. Now it makes sense because I was talking to Frazier. You know, Frazier's a big client of mine. They're a big client of yours now. And we were talking about this. I was talking to Connie last week, and now she's like super excited. And I'm like, dude, that's because everything that you just taught is going to fit directly into what we're building for them right now with their supplement department.
A lot of cohesiveness.
I'm actually building their supplement department for them. But it's not a supplement department; it's a billing department.
Yep.
And it's one of the first ones in the nation that we're building like this. That's for a company of that volume.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we've tested stuff in their company and it blew their minds. Just so the way it works.
A good friend of mine, Chris, out of Cincinnati, that's what his is. It's a billing department.
Yeah. It's what it needs to be.
That's what they do, you know.
And it's so much easier. So much easier than trying to argue hypothetical situations.
And that department has control of all of it. Like the sales team isn't even writing the estimate. Yep. The estimate's written in that department and then then invoiced and billed that way and everything. Yep. So it's just very few hands touch it. And those hands know exactly what's going on. And again, I told you this at lunch. He's incredibly proficient at what he does because it's very segmented and departmentalized. So it's I'm excited to see Frazier grow. I mean, not that they're not like begging for growth. Let's just be honest.
Dude, they're killing it, man.
What a machine that is. And if you're building a department for them, I know the trainers and coaches and mentors. And you know what? I go back to those coaches and those mentors that they brought in. The people that they brought in are results people.
100%.
They produce results. They're not in it for the fame. They're not in it just for the money. The money's great. The money, a byproduct. The money's part of it. The money's the job, sure. But the coaches and mentors that they're bringing in drive results.
It's so cool though.
They gave me a shirt, dude.
They give you the cool shirt.
They give me the tie-dye shirt that says better than yesterday.
Connie, I need that shirt.
Let's text her right now and tell her to send us.
Connie,
send
me that shirt. That's freaking cool.
Like that's a great year motto for their company.
Well, guys, Senac's here, and thank you for stopping by the office.
So this is funny because John and I only live about 35 minutes from each other. Truthfully, your office is about 50 minutes from where I'm at.
My house,
but your house is only about 35 minutes from where I'm at because I know what I have to drive to get here. We see each other more on the road than we do in our own state. So it was really nice today.
Change that, though.
We do.
Especially
knowing the things that we align with and we have so similar views on things. Let's talk about the tour real quick because I'm excited to even have the opportunity to do this. And I'm going to go ahead and plug it for you. Okay.
Okay.
Throughout the course of a year, I get a lot of asks, invites. You'll gain a lot from this. You should come to this. You'll get a lot of business. You'll get this, that, and the other. And that's great, but I can't be at everything. And frankly, I don't want to be. I have a wife. I have 5 kids. You know, I want to be in areas where what my message is received and has an impact and a result to the homeowner. Mm-hmm. That's why I designed the NTS the way I did was for the homeowner. Homeowner could read that and be like, oh, this makes sense. This isn't a contractor trying to scam me or an adjuster or anything like that. All the black and white facts are here. I designed it for the homeowner because when the homeowner wins, then, you know, the contractor wins, which means the manufacturer wins, which means the supplier wins, right? Like all that happens, which part of why I was a little bit just blown away this morning when we found a manufacturer taking the lead. Okay. But it's going to happen, right? But let's talk about the tour. So I get all those invites and I say no to a lot. It'd be awesome if I could speak at everything. I just can't. I say no to a lot. When you sent this to me, I did everything I could to fit this in the schedule because I had Owens Corning for a lot of different things coming up, but I've cleared it because I want to be there. I know the audience that you bring, the people that are speaking, the other people involved in this, there's a lot of alignment here. So this coast to coast tour, if you are in any of the markets they're in, we'll say the markets here in a second, get there. This is free.
Yep.
And that doesn't happen a lot. I think we're going to see the conference world, the training world, and the education world, and the summit world, whatever you want to call it, change. The landscape of that is going to change over the next couple of years, and it's going to be very educationally focused. Okay. The hype can only last for so long. The technology and the education, what the power that you're giving contractors, that's what's going to be key. So who you're bringing to this, I'm super excited for. I mean, I'm excited to see Reggie again. I actually haven't really spoken at the same event you've spoken at stage. Like, I just thought about that the other day. Like, we haven't been on the same stages, main stages or events together. So I'm excited for that opportunity and just to spend time around everyone involved in that. I was on the phone with Rufel this morning talking to them, just how excited we are to be at the same events together. Super pumped.
It's just because it's all about the future and what really actually practically you can take home with you and do something with it.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. And there's some motivational stuff in there. There's, that kind of stuff, but there's also some really big sales stuff. There's some great, interesting stuff about technology being brought in. We're bringing in all the different tools and the different avenues to give people a really, really high quality experience to network and connect. And it's absolutely free.
Yes.
The cities that we're going to is Trenton, New Jersey, Boston, Massachusetts, which, by the way, if you want to go somewhere cool in the middle of July, go to Boston. It's a cool place.
Yeah, if you're there and you happen to have any connection to Fenway, please let us know, because the Wednesday night before, we plan on going to the game.
And then we're going to Pittsburgh and Orlando, and then we'll be San Francisco and Salt Lake City, which kind of in that order. Not really, but yeah, that's where we're going to be. So those are the 6 cities for this tour, and I'm just telling you, like, if you're anywhere near those or want to get out to one of them, we'll send the registration link out. It's on the American Contractors Show page right now. The tickets are available. Like, there's still tickets available, so grab some if you want to go. But it's 100% free. That's the biggest thing, and it's gonna be the most valuable thing you could spend money on and be a part of.
Yeah, just spend the money to travel. And I can tell you right now that you have to be organized in your business enough to be able to take a day off.
Sandra asked one more question too. And she asked if no Southern California, not on this one, but stay tuned. In what circumstances would an insurance company pay for a new roof? This is the California question again.
So
apart from a tornado or a hurricane,
California is a market that I think just doesn't understand all of the various types of claims that exist. And I don't want to say that incorrectly. We don't want to see people filing claims that just aren't worth it. They're well below the deductible. The roof's repairable. The shingle's available, stuff like that. But
very few contractors in California understand.
No, they don't understand that system. And there's nobody that has it more fine-tuned than I do from a repairability approach and the shingle knowledge. But
you want to go go do an inspection in Cali?
Let's do it. While we're there, let's come down to Southern California. Let's go do a video there.
That would actually be a lot of fun.
What part of Southern California?
Send us a message.
I love Southern California, and if we're already on the West Coast, we may come do something pretty fun.
That's our last stop.
So that's what I mean. Totally we may go do something fun with that. But so when you have a roof leak, that doesn't necessarily mean that's insurance related. Okay, a roof leak could be water intrusion from somewhere, and the roof may not need to be replaced. It's a maintenance item or repair. You could have wind damage where wind has blown off a few shingles and those shingles are missing. There's cases where those shingles are available. You can still buy them. The roof system's still in a good repairable condition. Then it's just a repair. When you start talking about things that are $500,000, $2,000, in my opinion, those aren't worth claims because they're at or below deductibles. When you start talking about work that is sudden, unexpected storm damage, wind related, hurricanes, tornadoes, things like that, earthquakes, right? When you talk about damage that starts being 2, 3, 4 times your deductible amounts, that's kind of a good measure in that situation. And you get a lot of high winds in California, a lot of high winds. And there's a lot of different things out there that people may not realize could be reviewed by the insurance company, but they're going to take contractors that are very savvy and smart about the steps in that process as well. So Sandra, let us know. Hey, look, I've done some pro bono ones where I've had the pictures sent in and I've evaluated it and said, hey, here's what's going on here. So, that's always possible.
Yeah, it's just a matter of, looking at the damage and seeing what's there. But from what I understand, though, California right now has had some extremely high winds.
Yes.
And the roofs in California, because of the sun and everything else, they're much more brittle.
So the shingles are hardened and oxidized a lot faster than a lot of other markets. Start getting to the center of the country and northern markets. So, and then the other thing that's unique about California is California has cycled through a lot of smog products, reflective products, solar, like all these different products that no part of the country ever saw, that are changed, modified, or discontinued. So they actually have a wide open just range of discontinued products that may not be available.
Right.
So you may actually want to repair your roof. You may have a roofer come out and repair your roof, and the patch may be unsightly. Like the matching piece is nothing to consider in this situation, because most insurance companies aren't looking at matching. It comes down to the technical details of whether you should or should not have mixed those products, whether they belong on the same roof or not, whether they've been tested together, wind rated together, fire rated together, ASTM. There's so many factors that come into play there. And California has a ton of products that were only available limited time frames on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Golden opportunity.
I think it's the Golden Coast.
There you
Golden
go.
State.
Golden State.
Golden State opportunity.
Golden State, golden opportunity.
There you go. Sandra, shoot us a message. I'd like to we'll talk some more, but I might have someone that we can connect you with out there. If not, we can potentially look into doing some stuff, because I think it'd be a great opportunity just to go out there and shoot some content. I mean, you don't have to really twist my arm too much to go to California. I'm just saying, like, it's not it's usually a place that we like to end up at some point or another. So,
that's one I may end up flying my wife out for, so we can spend a few days out there.
We might go up and help Sandra out and shoot some content about California roofs and California storm damage.
Let's do that, and let's do Boston.
I like it.
Boston has some of the largest concentration of English cut shingles, because they had
I got someone in Boston.
The last one.
Yeah, let's do that.
So some of the bigger changes on the East Coast, they were the last to receive two of the manufacturers' English cut changes. So they have, again, unique opportunities up there. And you just deal with high winds. You don't deal with a lot of other stuff. And a lot of people call because they need the repair, and that's fine. Repair should happen on repairable roofs when the product can still be mixed. But if it's not, then that's when insurance should look at it. I mean, absolutely. Agreed. Or if it's just destroyed, there is an equation there that you just say, hey, it's got a lot of damage. But yeah, shoot us a message. We'd be kind of curious about this.
Sandra, let's see here. I don't know where you're watching on right now, what page you're on. Are you on the American Contractor page? Because this is on like 5 different pages on Facebook right now. So whichever page you're watching this on, just send a message to that page. And we'll be sure I'll have to find your comments and see where you're at, because this is, like I said, this is being streamed all over. So cool. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching today and hanging out with us. For those of you guys that want to rewatch this, we'll post this back in. Okay, you're on American Contractor. Yeah. Send us a message to the American Contractor Show, and my team will respond. We'll get something set up. So, but yeah, guys, if you guys want to hang out more, we should do this more often. Just saying.
We could do this once a month easily. Come up here and do a live.
Yeah.
The lunch was a great byproduct. The other ideas we talked about, even better. But this was fun.
Yeah, I think we just gave someone a massive idea. If someone doesn't run with that ventilation idea, I'm going to be pretty mad. But
just go ahead and file the company, create the company.
I need a patent. Patent, please. Actually, I think this serves as a patent.
Discussion on it. What are you patenting though?
I don't know. I actually no. I
patent the math.
I have. Let's put it this
calculation.
way. If someone wants the full idea and has the funding to do this, why don't you reach out to us? Maybe we can work out some sort of deal.
There you go.
That's what we need.
There you go.
All right, guys. Have a great day. We'll see you guys soon. And I put the link to the tour, to the tickets on there. So grab some tickets to that if you're anywhere near those cities. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. It's been fun, dude.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Lots of fun.
Yes, sir.